Revealed, my sister's heartwarming lesson in the rain that uncovered an incredible truth. Emily trudged through the downpour, feeling like the weight of the world was pressing down on her shoulders. The storm clouds above mirrored the turmoil in her heart. Just 28, she carried the mantle of responsibility for her little sister, Lily, after losing both their parents. The diner, where she worked tirelessly, offered just enough to scrape by, but each week felt like a battle against the tide of bills threatening to swallow them whole. "Please, Em. Can we go?" Lily's eyes sparkled with eagerness, a stark contrast to the bleak day surrounding them. The charity event honoring local veterans wasn't just another gathering. It was meant to bring the community together. Yet, as every droplet soaked through Emily's clothes, she wrestled with her anxiety about money. With every step, the rain pounded harder, but Lily clutched her sister's hand. "I want to do something good, like Mom and Dad would be wanted." The innocence in her voice struck Emily like lightning, igniting something deep within her. She often forgot how pure their shared dreams once were and how important it was to cling to memories, especially now. Wiping a tear she hadn't realized escaped, Emily nodded. "All right, let us go." The walk felt like a march through mud, but it became a journey of hope, one soaked with determination and the aroma of impending changes in the air. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The community hall buzzed with chatter as they entered. The smell of fried chicken danced in the air, the sounds of laughter and cheer wrapping around Emily like a warm hug. It made her heart ache and swell at once, the joyous noise a reminder of her lost parents. But amidst the crowd, one figure stood out. Jack, a veteran with kind eyes, shared his own story of resilience, the way he lifted spirits with his words and laughter. Emily could see strength in his battles, and it resonated. "Sometimes, you need to lean on those around you, even when it's tough," he said, locking eyes with Emily. His words echoed deep within her. They were the very essence of the community togetherness in hardship. That night, as the rain continued its relentless assault, a commotion outside disrupted her thoughts. To her horror, she found Lily had jumped out to join a group raising funds to assist families in their village. Emily's heart seized with panic and pride. Her little sister was so brave, even when life had dealt them a hard hand. Would they survive this unforgiving storm? Standing side by side, the sisters braved the rain together once more, a bond forged in understanding and shared hope. With their hearts open, they began to talk about feelings, fears, and their family's past. It doesn't matter where we've been, we're still here," Lily said. Just then, the clouds began to part, revealing hues of orange and pink in the sky, a breathtaking sunset breaking through the gloom. Emily felt a surge of warmth, one that promised brighter days ahead. But as they stood there, hearts pounding and eyes set wide with possibilities, an unexpected twist loomed just beyond the horizon. Would they find the strength to face their future together? As the last rays of the sunset faded, Emily felt a shift in the air. The weight that had settled on her chest since their parents' passing felt a little lighter. She turned to Lily, her face aglow with excitement. "You really want to help them, don't you?" "Of course. They need us, Em." Lily grinned, her enthusiasm infectious. It reminded Emily of a time when life seemed simpler, when they were just two girls dreaming under a blanket fort. But dreams were deceptive. All she wanted was to protect her sister from the hardships ahead. "Okay, let us see what we can do," Emily said, her voice surprisingly steady as she surveyed the scene. People were gathered around tables, signing up for bake sales and talent shows, and even a car wash. The spirit of the community was alive and vibrant. She could hardly recognize it from the dull, gray canvas of her everyday life until now. Lily grabbed her hand, pulling her towards the bustling group. Her excitement sparked something in Emily. The idea of participating filled her with a warmth she hadn't felt in what seemed like ages. "Lily!" yelled a familiar voice, breaking through the murmur of voices. It was their neighbor, Mr. Johnson, beaming widely and waving them over. "We could really use your help at the bake sale. Everyone's going to want your mom's secret chocolate chip cookie recipe." Lily's eyes lit up in awe. "Can we, please?" Looking at the hopeful expression on her sister's face, Emily nodded, realizing that helping others was a way of keeping their parents' legacy alive. "Let us do it." The next few hours flew by in a blur of dough, laughter, and flour-covered faces. For the first time in what felt like forever, Emily felt a growing sense of belonging in the community. They were not just surviving, they were thriving together in shared grief and joy. Jack stopped by occasionally, boosting their spirits and making everyone laugh with his war stories. His humble nature made him a fixture in their little group. As the evening wore on, Emily noticed the warmth in her sister's laughter and the sparkle in her eye. When she felt it, a flicker of hope igniting inside her. Maybe things could change for the better. Maybe they could build a life that honored their past while looking forward. "Emily," Lily called, breaking into her thoughts. "Look at this." She held up a tray of warm cookies, a proud grin stretching across her face. "That's amazing, Lily." Emily hugged her tightly, feeling overwhelmed with gratitude. But just as the moment soaked in, a loud crash echoed from outside. A flicker of panic shot through Emily as she rushed to the door, her heart racing. The night had turned ominous again. It felt as if the storm was coming back. When she opened the door, a crowd had formed around a fallen tree that had collapsed near an old car. The realization hit Emily hard. Fear gripped her gut. Would they have to face another disaster? She spotted Jack working his way through the throng, determination in his stride. "Everyone, back up!" he shouted, ushering people away from the danger zone. With renewed confidence, Emily joined him. If she could help a neighbor in need, maybe she could really make a difference. After all, as they worked together, the energy in the air shifted once more. Emily could sense that this moment could change everything. Just then, a thought struck her. Would this calamity deepen their bond or tear it apart? The storm loomed in more ways than one, and Emily wasn't sure of what the dawn would reveal. Would they rise again with hope after this dark night? Emily's heart raced as she watched the scene unfold. The tree had brought darkness with it, but it also sparked a sense of urgency in her. She could feel the tension in the air, a mixture of fear and determination pushing the crowd to act. "Lily, stay close," she called out over the shouts and murmurs that filled the night. She glanced around for her sister, but quickly spotted her standing at the edge of the crowd, fear etched on her face. "Lily!" Lily dashed toward her, her small hands gripping the hem of her shirt. "What do we do, Em?" The tremble in her voice tugged at Emily's heart. "Just follow my lead," Emily replied, trying to sound steadier than she felt. She pushed through the crowd, reaching Jack just as he was instructing a few other locals to grab ropes and help with clearing the area. Together, they pulled the branches off the car, adrenaline surging through Emily's veins. She felt alive in a way she hadn't felt in so long, taking action, fighting against the tide of despair. Each heavy branch tossed aside felt like a small victory. Jack looked at her, his eyes filled with respect. "You're doing great, Emily. We need as many hands as we can get." Watching Jack admire her efforts brought a rush of warmth. In the chaos, she realized she was far more than someone weighed down by grief. She could contribute. She could be strong. The girl's neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, arrived, her face wet with rain, but determination in her gait. "Just let me know where to help. My back isn't what it used to be, but I'll do my best." "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson." "Over here," called Jack, motioning to the largest pile of branches. The sense of community wrapped around them like a thick blanket, bolstering everyone's spirits as they joined forces to restore order and safety. The crowd began to shift, mothers and fathers gathering their children, feeling the rhythm of teamwork pulling them all together. Emily's breath quickened as she saw her sister's nervousness dissolve. Lily was passing out cookies they'd baked earlier, reaching out to those around them, bringing small smiles along with treats. Let us make sure nobody forgets tonight, huh? She said, presenting a cookie to a boy who looked more frightened than anything else. His tentative grin sparked life in Emily's chest. Good job, sis, Emily whispered as she caught Lily's eye. The joy brightened her sister's spirit and ensured that the night wasn't just one of fear, but a testament to their resilience. As the last heavy branch was dragged away, Emily felt a wave of relief wash over her. The crowd erupted in applause, their voices mixing with the rain that fell softly now, as if the storm was finally retreating. But in that moment of unity, a new worry washed over Emily. What if something else comes crashing down? Will we be strong enough to handle it? Jack stepped closer, brushing the damp hair back from her face. We can handle it, Emily. Together. For the first time, she began to believe him. Maybe facing tomorrow wouldn't be so impossible after all. Maybe they were becoming more than just survivors, they could become thrivers. Just as hope began to settle in, the lights around them flickered suddenly, casting shadows that danced briefly across their faces. The community was still buzzing with relief, but a new uncertainty crept through. Would that flicker of light be the harbinger of something deeper, something they weren't yet prepared for? Emily's heart sank again, the storm clouds of worry rising in the distance. What if our unity faces a test unlike any before? The rain softened, but her unease remained. As they started to disperse, she glanced at Lily, who was animatedly chatting with Mrs. Thompson, blissfully unaware of her sister's turmoil. Would their small community stand united when that test finally came? Tomorrow might reveal answers she wasn't sure they were ready for. The morning sun broke through the clouds, painting the world in warm hues of gold and amber. Emily breathed deeply, drawing in the scent of damp earth mixed with fresh morning air. It was a new day, but anxiety still clung to her like a heavy coat. She watched as Lily twirled in the yard, the remnants of last night's storm only whispers in the gentle breeze. Her sister's laughter was a melody of innocence, painting a stark contrast to the storm that had ravaged their evening. Emily couldn't shake the image of the flickering lights, the promise of more trouble lurking just beneath the surface. Look what I found, Lily called out, racing toward her with excitement in every step. In her hand, she held a small, polished stone that sparkled in the sunlight. Wow, Lily! That's beautiful, Emily exclaimed, crouching to inspect the find. A surge of pride filled her. This was her sister, finding magic even after chaos. Where did you find it? Over by the tree. I think it was hiding under the branches, Lily said, her eyes wide with wonder. A thought struck Emily. Perhaps there was beauty and resilience to be found after stormy nights. Just like Lily had unearthed the stone, maybe today would reveal something important about their community's strength. They walked toward the gathering hub of their neighborhood. The town square felt different when the sun was shining, but a shadow of last night lingered. People were out, rebuilding, chatting, and even laughing, yet uncertainty filled the air. Are we ready for today? Emily murmured under her breath, and just then, she spotted Jack helping Mrs. Thompson distribute supplies for those affected by the storm. Emily. Lily. Jack waved with a warm smile, eyes sparkling. Glad to see you both. We missed you yesterday. His charm and spirit were contagious, and Emily felt her worry begin to dissipate. Did you sleep okay? Emily asked, genuinely curious. Jack shrugged. Better than I thought. We weathered worse. Together, we can figure this out. His words wrapped around her, offering comfort. Motivated, Emily stepped forward. Let us get to work. How can we help? As they organized supplies, their neighbors began to come together, each offering pieces of their hearts, freshly baked goods, clothes, and an assortment of tools to support those in need. Emily felt her spirit lift as she watched. The process of rebuilding had begun. Hey, Emily, Jack said after a while, his voice dropping slightly. Earlier this morning, Mrs. Thompson told me something interesting. There's talk of a bigger storm hitting soon. Something magical, maybe even frightening. Emily swallowed hard, but nodded. I felt it too, the darkness last night. It wasn't just the tree. As acceptance settled in, she remembered the stone Lily had found. Maybe they needed to trust themselves and their community. If things do get tough again, we'll face it head-on, she said, believing what she spoke. A rumble in the distance drew their eyes skyward. Dark clouds gathered ominously, like an army preparing to invade. Emily's heart thudded. She turned to look at Lily, who was handing out cookies and laughing alongside Mrs. Thompson. Could their community really withstand another storm? Before she could voice her concern, a screeching sound pierced the air. A shadow flitted across the sun, an unfamiliar shape darting overhead. What was that? Jack asked, squinting up at the sky. All around, faces shifted from smiles to expressions of confusion and fear. Emily could feel something changing. I don't know, but I have a feeling we're about to find out. The adventure was just beginning, and as the sky darkened, nerves and determination intertwined within her. Would they hold strong when the ground shook once more? Emily's heart raced as she turned her gaze upward, instinctively shielding Lily from whatever shadowy shape threatened to blot out their sunlit day. The cheers and laughter from the neighbors waned, swallowed by a silence that felt heavy with anticipation. Everyone's eyes followed the shadow, merging confusion and instinctual concern into a single, collective breath held in unison. The screech echoed again, a piercing cry piercing through the murkiness of unease. Stay close, Lily, Emily whispered, instinctively grasping her sister's small hand. Just as she tightened her grip, the shadow swooped lower, and a figure emerged, unfurling wings that glistened with ethereal light. What is that? A voice near them gasped. The being landed gracefully in the square, a creature neither entirely bird nor human, with shimmering feathers that seemed to pulse with color shifting between blues and greens. Its eyes bore an ancient wisdom and a palpable warmth that caught everyone off guard, drawing gasps and odd murmurs. We're safe, everyone. Jack's voice rang out, a courageous tone anchoring the gathering. The being turned its gaze to him, tilting its head quizzically as if it had come to listen, not to harm. Hello, the creature said, its voice rich and melodic. I am Kaelin, guardian of the elements. I come not to bring fear, but to warn you of a storm that transcends the physical realm. It will test your hearts, your bonds, and your community. Emily felt the ground shift beneath her feet, not from an earthquake, but from the weight of Kaelin's words. The realization dawned on her: the talk of magical storms wasn't just a rumor, it had a truth rooted in something deeper. What do we do? She called out, the question leaping from her lips, seeking reassurance in the face of uncertainty. Kaelin's wings enveloped the square, casting an iridescent glow. You must look within yourselves. The storm ahead will stir feelings long buried. Only through understanding, love, and unity will you find your strength. Whispers broke out among the neighbors, uncertainty dancing in their expressions. Emily looked around and could see the worry hanging in the air as heavy as the clouds overhead. Do you believe we can do that? Jack leaned toward Emily, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. I want to, she replied, her heart pounding. But can we? The creature nodded, its wings fluttering softly as if coaxing the energy of light around them. Trust, young ones. The love you share will be your shield, and understanding will be your sword. Emily's mind wrestled with doubt, but the warmth of Lily's small hand in hers steadied her resolve. She scanned the crowd, her friends and neighbors looking back at her, their faces reflecting a mixture of fear and determination. Together? She prompted, her voice now gaining strength. Together, Jack echoed, stepping closer to her side. The resolve grew, a quiet unity sparking to life. People began to murmur their agreement, little nods of heads cascading through the crowd, drowning out the echoes of fear. Just then, a bolt of wind tore through the square, sending loose leaves spiraling through the air. But this time, the neighbors stood firm, hands intertwined. The ice of fear began to melt. Kaelin seemed to sense this burgeoning light. Remember, it is through your vulnerabilities that strength and clarity will emerge. When the storm arrives, let your hearts guide you. As the sky darkened with an urgency, Emily felt a swell of something mighty forming among them, a shared purpose wrapped in a canopy of hope. A flicker of light danced in her chest, expanding into a warmth that spread through her body like wildfire. Yet, As they faced this otherworldly messenger, a rumbling thunder echoed in the distance, bringing the reality of the impending storm back to the forefront. "Are we ready?" Jack asked, uncertainty creeping back like shadows at dusk. Emily took a deep breath, squeezing Lily's hand tighter. "We will be. Whatever comes, we'll find a way through it." With those words, the winds howled, and Emily could feel it in her bones. The storm was coming. As the first drops began to fall, they each stood resolute, a community forged in fire and bound by love. But as Kaylin took flight, a sense of urgency tugged at her heart. Emily understood this wasn't just about weathering a storm, but discovering the hidden truths of their own fears. What awaited them in the tempest would reveal everything they never knew they were capable of. And as the rain began to pour, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was just ahead. Would they unravel what lay in their hearts when the force pushed against them? The rain fell like a curtain, heavy and relentless, drenching the square in cold droplets that mirrored the faces of the townsfolk. Emily braced herself, feeling both the chill of the water and the warmth of solidarity. The elderly stood side by side with children, neighbors who had only exchanged nods now forming a living wall of strength. "Here it comes," Jack murmured, his voice barely audible over the growing roar of the storm. Kaylin soared higher, winged figure silhouetted against thickening clouds. "Embrace it," the guardian called down, the magic in the voice weaving through the air like a mantra. "Let it wash over you. Let it wash over us," Emily repeated, her own voice rising above the storm. She could feel the tremors of uncertainty mingling with a burgeoning courage. The townsfolk echoed her cry, uncertainty morphing into a collective chant that pushed back against the storm's encroaching darkness. As the storm grew fiercer, the wind whipped through the square, swirling around them like wild ribbons. Emily felt each gust tugging at her clothes, urging her to retreat, to seek safety. But she stood firmly, locked in the moment with Lily at her side. She looked down, searching her sister's face for fear, but instead found bright-eyed determination. "Emily, I'm not scared," Lily shouted, her small voice cutting through the gale, buoyed by an unwavering trust. "Neither am I," Emily shouted back, but deep within, the shadows of her doubt flared up again. What did that trust really mean? She remembered Kaylin's words, vulnerability leading to strength. "Hold my hand, Lily," Emily said, gripping her sister tighter. "We'll face this together." A flash of yellow streaked across the gloom. The townsfolk gasped, eyes wide as lightning illuminated the sky. The storm was blinding, chaotic, but as the light faded, Emily saw what came after: the faces of her neighbors. Worry etched into their brows, yes, but an ember of defiance in their eyes. They were ready to face their fears. Then the first rumble of thunder cracked like a whip. The sky tore open, unleashing torrents of rain. But within that tempest, something shifted. Strangers turned to one another, offering not just words of encouragement, but acts of kindness. Cries turned into laughter, hands extended to help each other stand firm. "Look," Jack pointed at a little girl, probably no older than 5, standing proudly in the downpour, spinning in circles with joy, her laughter a beacon in the chaos. The sight tugged at Emily's heart. What had she been so afraid of? "We have to help," Emily shouted to Jack, urgency fueling her movements as she began to direct traffic among the now bustling crowd. "Turn pain into purpose." Kaylin's voice rang in her ears as if guiding her every step. "Each act of love in the midst of the storm will fortify your community." As she went from person to person, helping, connecting, she felt a warmth blooming within, genuine joy mixed with her fear. They were dancing together in the rain, not merely enduring the storm but transforming it into something beautiful. Just then, the ground shook beneath them, forcing everyone to brace themselves. The storm's true nature had awakened. Emily's heart dropped. "Get ready," she warned, looking up as dark shadows began to swirl at the edges of the square, darker than the rain. "Emily," Jack shouted from across the crowd, his eyes wide with alarm. "What is happening? What is that?" Before she could answer, The shadows darted in, swirling fiercely toward them like a swirling mass of despair threatening to snuff out their newfound courage. "Stay together," she cried out, rallying her neighbors. Fear clawed at her insides, but driving her voice was unwavering resolve. The crowd formed a circle, hands clasped together, shielding each other from the creeping shadows. Whether these shadows represented their struggles, secrets, or pain, Emily couldn't say. Only that they needed to confront whatever this was together. "Show them your hearts." But as she shouted these words into the stormy void, the shadows lunged forward. What was lurking in the storm? Would they face it, or would fear tear them apart? The shadows twisted and writhed, a living nightmare threatening to swallow the square whole. Emily's heart raced as the darkness came closer, sprawling like a heavy fog, hungry for the light of their newfound courage. She clutched Lily's hand tighter, feeling the warmth of her little sister grounding her amidst the approaching dread. "Hold on," she yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos, glancing around at the circle of their neighbors. Faces strained but resolute, they stood united against the darkness. This was not just a storm, it was a test. Would they falter, or would they rise together? Just as the shadows reached the edge of their circle, a flicker erupted from within the crowd. Jack's determined shout broke through the noise. "We believe in each other. We are stronger than this." Those words seemed to ignite a spark in the air. Emily felt it, a surge of energy coursing through their hands clasped together. Each person holding on to the next, their heartbeats synchronized. The shadows hesitated, as if momentarily alarmed by this unexpected strength. "Show them your hearts," Emily cried again, this time with more conviction. At that moment, one elderly woman stepped forward from the crowd. It was Mrs. Timbers, known for her gentle smile and kindness. She looked at the shadows, her face a mixture of fear and defiance, and began to speak. "This storm may come, but so do the light and laughter of our community. We have shared our stories, our joys, and our love." Her voice resonated, and the darkness wavered, a ripple passing through as if recognizing the truth in her words. One by one, others began to speak, sharing snippets of their lives, moments of resilience and love. Emily joined them, summoning her courage. "We're not just surviving, we thrive together. We hold each other up." Each confession shone like a beacon, breaking through the shadows, illuminating the square with hope. And then came the laughter, a rich, spontaneous sound bursting through the tension. Children, emboldened by their parents' bravery, began to laugh and dance in the rain, their joy irresistible. It spread like wildfire through the crowd, flickering brightly against the darkness. The shadows recoiled, twisting and contorting, their form beginning to lose its shape. The laughter and love surrounding them pressed in, filling the air with a warmth that chased the chill away. "Keep going," Jack urged, his voice rising above the joyous noise. "We are not alone." For every story shared, for every bit of laughter offered, the shadows shrank further. Emily felt her heart swell as she glanced around, seeing smiles shining through the rain. This was their moment. "Look," Lily squealed, tugging at Emily's hand. "They're disappearing." Indeed, the shadows were thinning, falling apart under the weight of resilience and love. Each whispered encouraging word, each act of community, broke down the darkness. It was breathtaking. The storm had transformed into a tapestry of light woven from their shared strength. The last of the shadows dissolved into a feeble puff, washed away by the rain that seemed all the more colorful now. Gazing around at her neighbors, Emily felt a deep connection, a thread that tied them together through this turmoil. But just then, Kaylin's voice rang out like a bell through the downpour. "Each storm reveals the strength within. Remember this moment." Emily's heart skipped a beat. What did that reveal mean for her? Was there more to this test than just facing the storm? Just as doubts began to rise again, she heard a soft voice behind her. "Emily," she turned slowly and found Lily looking up at her, eyes shimmering with earnest wonder. "Do you think we can dance in the rain every time it storms?" That simple question burst open new emotions in Emily, leaving her wondering about all the moments yet to come, the hidden truths in her own heart. What else had she yet to discover about herself and her family? The rain continued to fall, but now it felt different, lighter, almost like a gentle embrace. Yet amidst the warmth, she felt a shift in the air anew. Energy coiling around them. What was waiting to be uncovered next? They had faced the storm, but would they face even greater revelations ahead? The air was thick with a charged quiet after the storm had passed, the rain dwindling to a soft patter that felt soothing against their skin. Emily knelt down to meet Lily's eager gaze, her heart lingering on that profound question. Could they dance in the rain every time it stormed? Before she could respond, the crowd began to disperse. People exchanged smiles, their faces still glistening with water and joy. Jack stood nearby, talking animatedly with Mr. Higgs, his laughter ringing out like a melody in the stillness. Emily glanced at the remnants of the storm puddles reflecting the leftover sunlight, sparkling like shattered glass. Lily tugged at her sleeve, pulling her back to their shared world. "Can we try?" She beamed, jumping in place, splashing water from a nearby puddle. Her joy was infectious. Emily smiled, feeling weight lift from her heart. Absolutely. The two sisters joined hands, leaping into the puddles as if they were stepping into a new adventure. Water sprayed around them, and giggles filled the air as they twirled, lost in their own rhythm. Emily felt the tension from before melt away, replaced by a sense of freedom and exhilaration. This was their storm, their moment, a celebration of life beyond fear. "Look at them," Mrs. Timbers called out to the crowd. "They're dancing like no one else watching." Several neighbors turned, smiles breaking across their faces at the sight of the girls. A few joined in, their laughter harmonizing with the dancing raindrops, creating an unforgettable symphony of lightheartedness. It was pure joy, unfiltered and real, an eruption of life that pushed back against the chasms of uncertainty that had threatened to engulf them minutes before. As they danced, Emily felt something shift within her. Was this what Kaylin had meant? This sense of unity, of rediscovery amidst turmoil? She looked at Lily, who swirled joyfully, completely absorbed in the moment. There was a lesson hidden in all this, something about embracing life even when storms came rolling in. Suddenly, a heavy silence fell over the crowd, stealing her attention. Kaylin stood at the edge of the square, her brow furrowed, looking toward the horizon. "Look at the clouds," she shouted, pointing. A new darkness was coiling again, an ominous presence creeping back. Emily felt a shiver run down her spine. They hadn't even been completely free from the storm. "Didn't we just defeat that?" Jack said, frowning. Emily's heart sank as the realization began to settle in. This was only the beginning. They had all shown what they were made of, but was their strength enough to face whatever was to come? The shadows may have been vanquished, but the clouds still loomed, heavy with the promise of more. "Everyone, gather together," Jack urged, rallying their neighbors. Emily turned to Lily, brushing a wet strand of hair away from her sister's face. "We'll figure this out. Together." Lily nodded, eyes wide with fear and bravery, still reflecting that innocent hope. As the community encircled once more, hearts racing in unison, Emily once again felt the warmth of hands clasped together. But what if this wasn't just a test of strength? What if there were deeper truths to uncover, things that could shake them to their core? As the spirits lifted, new questions clouded Emily's mind. What awaited them on the other side of the next storm? Could the lesson in the rain turn out to be much bigger than dancing in puddles? A whisper of uncertainty pricked at her thoughts, but she held on tight, keeping the image of Lily dancing alive in her mind. What truth slumbered beneath the impending darkness? The tension thickened in the air, every soul around holding their breath, eyes drawn to the heavy clouds gathering in an angry swirl. Emily glanced at Jack, whose expression was a mixture of determination and concern. They all felt the weight of the unknown looming just beyond their comfort zone. "Let's stay close." Jack's voice rang out, steadying the frayed nerves in the crowd. Emily squeezed Lily's hand tighter, feeling the pulse of her sister's tiny fingers, each thrum resonating with the need for courage. The first drops of rain began to fall, heavy and thick, making the air smell fresh and electric. Almost instinctively, Emily could feel the drumbeat of community rise. People began to huddle together, faces reflecting a complexity of emotions, anxiety mingled with hope. "Remember what we just did?" Emily called out to the group. "We danced. We fought back. We can do this again." She shared a quick glance with Kaylin, who returned a hesitant smile, maybe seeing a path through the chaos. Then Lily jumped up, her mouth breaking into a sunny grin despite the darkening sky. "We can dance again," she shouted, her voice ringing like a bell amidst the clamor. And just like that, a collective spirit ignited the crowd. One by one, laughter and shouts returned, with neighbors grasping each other's hands and stepping into the puddles forming around them. Emily felt her heart swell, emotions fluttering like butterflies, the very essence of resilience. "Let us show those clouds," someone shouted, and the call echoed through the square. They weren't just facing the storm together, they were defiantly embracing it. With light pulling her eyes up toward the sky, Emily witnessed something extraordinary. Around them, faces transformed, revealing reasons to smile despite the uncertainty. There was Mrs. Timber's resilient chuckle, the bright flash of children splashing water, and the families throwing back their heads to catch the refreshing droplets. It wasn't just rain pouring from above, it was a cleansing, a washing away of worries as they danced together on the edge of newfound bravery. Still, something within Emily nagged, a flicker of doubt buried beneath layers of jubilance. Did they truly understand what they faced? This wasn't merely an obstacle to leap over. The wisdom she felt hinting at within the chaos hovered just out of reach. The sky rumbled ominously, deepening the color above them. "Stay strong," Jack called again, his voice cutting through, rallying them as droplets turned rushing water. In that shared moment of vulnerability, Emily's eyes locked with Kaylin's once more. They were two souls amid a flurry of chaos, recognizing a deeper connection. Kaylin's gaze seemed to dare Emily to dig deeper, to look for truths beyond the tumult unfolding around them. What lay wrapped beneath layers of laughter and playfulness? Then, amid the overlapping sounds of splashing and joyous cries, something caught Emily's attention, a glimmer in the edge of the park, partially concealed beneath the remnants of branches and leaves. Her heart beat faster as thoughts raced, treasures and discoveries often hid in the most unexpected places. "Meet me by that tree," Emily shouted to Lily, who nodded enthusiastically, her little feet already bouncing toward the beckoning sight of mystery. The crowd surged around them, but something compelled Emily to move with purpose, feeling a storm brewing within herself, one that sought answers from the depths. Was this glimmer connected to the storm? Could this lead to understanding the real meaning of their fight? As they approached the tree, Emily felt exhilaration mixed with apprehension. What truths awaited them just beyond the reach of the rain? With every step, she sensed it, a moment of revelation whispered in the wind, brushing softly against her thoughts. What could they uncover next, just when they thought the storm was the end? The rain continued to pour, but oddly enough, it felt refreshing. It washed away remnants of fear and doubt, and Emily, with her sister Lily at her side, approached the tree, feeling both anxious and excited. The glimmering light that had caught her attention beckoned like a lighthouse in the storm. "Look, what is that?" Lily asked, eyes wide with curiosity. As they reached the tree, Emily pushed aside the branches and leaves that shielded the odd sparkle. And there it was, a small, weathered box almost hidden in the soil. It seemed ordinary yet extraordinary at the same time. "What do you think is inside?" Lily asked, bouncing on her toes. "I guess we'll have to find out," Emily replied, her fingers trembling a bit. It felt like they were about to uncover some long-lost secret, a truth that had been waiting for this very moment. With great care, she lifted the box from its earthen cradle. The lid creaked as she opened it, and what they found inside took their breath away. Handwritten letters, old photographs, and little trinkets lay nestled within the box, a treasure trove of memories belonging to their parents, full of laughter and love. "Oh, Lily gasped, pulling out a photo of their parents at a park, all smiles with arms wrapped around each other. "Look how happy they are." A flood of emotions washed over Emily, joy, nostalgia, and an aching sadness. Tears sprang to her eyes, but this time they were not just tears of sorrow. For each picture unveiled a beautiful moment locked in time, a reminder of their family bond that transcended even the hardest days. "This will help us remember them," Emily said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Their love will always be with us, and now everyone can share in this." As she lifted out each memento, the sound of laughter and chatter from the crowd faded into the background. It was just her and Lily, lost in a world that felt safe and warm. The storm was still raging above, but it no longer frightened them. Instead, it bolstered their resolve to honor the love around them. They stood together, hand in hand, feeling connected not only to each other, but to a wider community that had come together through adversity. Emily could see values of hope being passed along with those very memories, the laughter, the joy, and the resilience of spirit. Just then, a familiar voice broke into her thoughts. It was Jack, rushing toward them through the patter of rain, face flushed with excitement. "What did you find?" he asked, eyes sparkling with anticipation. Emily showed him the contents of the box, and he immediately brightened at the sight. "This is a reminder," he said, glancing at the pictures. "Everything you've endured brought you here, and it shows how strong you really are. Not just you two, but all of us." The realization swept over Emily like a warm wave. Love was their most potent weapon. It would guide them through storms, both literal and metaphorical, just as much as the treasures unearthed at the foot of an old tree. With this truth unfolding before her, she began to feel the tightness in her chest loosen. "You're right, Jack. We face the storm together, and we'll face whatever comes next together, too." The passion in her voice ignited a ripple of agreement among those gathered nearby, as if they had all collectively found their strength again. And then, like a magic spell, the raindrops began to fall softer, transforming from a torrential downpour into a gentle sprinkle, cleansing the world in a fresh embrace. Lily turned to her sister, eyes shining brighter than ever. Let us share the story of our parents with everyone. They need to know how much love can conquer any storm. That's the spirit," Emily replied, her heart swelling with pride. The sisters made their way back to the heart of the community, their treasure in tow. As they shared snippets of their parents' lives with their neighbors, others began to recount their own memories and losses, forming spontaneous circles of sharing and connection. In that moment, something shifted. The tension from before was replaced with an understanding that they were all in this together. They weren't just neighbors, they were a united family, ready to weather any storm that came their way, hand in hand. And as laughter danced back into the atmosphere and people shared stories of courage, hope blossomed anew. Emily felt that familiar warmth of certainty wash over her once more. Perhaps they would indeed dance in the rain, not just in celebration, but as a reminder of the strength born from love and community. With a final glance toward the horizon where the clouds had begun to break, she knew that whatever came next, their family, though scattered, was stronger than ever. They would face it shoulder to shoulder, with hearts full of memories guiding them forth. As the sun peeked through the sky, revealing a spectacular rainbow, Emily thought, "Together, we can conquer anything." And they would together. Now, let me remind you, if you want to keep experiencing heartwarming transformations like this, subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and support our community. Comment your feelings and reactions about this ending below. I want to hear from every single one of you. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need a little hope and love in their lives. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.